Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video in the Python series. In this video, we're going to talk about if statements. Alright guys, welcome. This is my favorite topic where we start getting into more interesting information on Python and programming in general. So today we're going to be learning about something called if statements. If statements, which are a way to control the flow of your program's execution. So that's kind of a weird sentence, but essentially think about it like this, right? Up to this point, we have very simple programs such as, let's say, this variables program here. The way that this executes is it goes from top to bottom. It just executes every line one by one from top to bottom. Pretty simple, right? But with if statements and control flow statements, we can actually make it execute different code depending on the conditions of the program. So just as a simple example, imagine that you're a computer program for a car and you're responsible for navigating the car. Let's say that you have a turn coming up in 1 mile and you're currently going 1 million miles per hour. Should you make that turn at 1 million miles per hour, or should you first slow down? The ability for your program to make such decisions is called control flow. You're controlling the flow of your program's execution, which is a really powerful concept that I really enjoy. So the first way we're going to learn about controlling the flow of your program's execution is with if statements, the most basic way of doing that. So let me show you what an if statement is sort of built like. So you have if, and then you have something called a condition, followed by a colon, and then under that you have a tab, which is indentation, and then anything inside of here, any block of code, will be executed only if that condition is true, okay? So let me show you. So let's say we have an age, I am 20 years old, and also a drinking age. In America, it is 21. And let's say you're a computer program that is responsible for letting people enter the bar if they are the drinking age or above. So we could do something like if age is greater than or equal to drinking age, colon, press enter, then you can say print, you can enter the bar. And there you go, that's your first if statement. As you can see, it's not too complicated, it's just simple English. If this, then do that, all right? You may have noticed that the condition here is actually what we've been learning about in the last 2 episodes, which is, comparison and Boolean and stuff like that. So here we're doing a comparison between these two numbers, and this returns a Boolean. In this case, it happens to be false, so this will not be executed. This statement here, this block of code here, and this block of code just happens to be a print statement, so nothing too complex. And so let's just go ahead and run this to verify that nothing will print out. So right-click this, run, and nothing prints out because, of course, age is not greater than or equal to drinking age. So if we change this to 21 or 22, this will now work. It'll print out, you can enter the bar. So doesn't that blow your mind? Your program now has the capability of choosing what to run based upon the values of the program, such as variable values or whatever. Kind of awesome, right? Now I'm referring to this as a block of code because this is actually important. The indentation here is important because this signifies that anything that's indented after this line here is part of the if statement, okay? So let's say that we have more lines of code. Let's print out something else. I like toes, right? Because these are lined up in the same way, these are part of the same block of code, so these will both be executed if this is true or not. If for some reason that this is not on the same, indentation alignment, like this will always be executed because it's not part of the if statement, okay? So they're separated. So let's just go ahead and run this. And there you go, it says you can enter the bar, and it says I like toes, okay? So if we move this here, it'll still say the same thing, right? Because we didn't really change anything. This is still going to be true. So run this again. It says the same thing, but if we change this back to 20, now it'll not say any of them, right? Because now this is false, so therefore anything inside of the if statement will be not printed out, or not run rather, because you can have other code inside of this, right? Now if we move this back outside of the if statement, so it's not indented anymore, this will always run, but this one will not run because this is false. And that's just to say that indentation really matters in this language, when in other languages such as Java, you don't really, signify this is part of the if statement by indentation. You signify it with curly brackets. But yeah, that's how you can do if statements. And let's see what other cool stuff we can do with this. So let's just have number is equal to 4. And let's say if number is greater than 0, then do this, which is positive. So as you can see, this is a simple program that checks to see if a number is positive or not. If it is, then it prints out positive. And let's add another one. How about that? We can add as many as we want. So if number and then %2 is equal to 0, then print the number is even. So if you don't remember, you just need a refresher. This is actually to find the remainder. So this would be 4 divided by 2. The remainder of that is 0 because 2 divides into 4 evenly, meaning that there's nothing left over. And so if that's 0, this means it's an even number. So you can print out this is even. All right. So this is just a simple way to check to see if a number is even or not. Let's add another one. So let's just take this now, put it here. And now we can say if it's not equal to 0. So in this case, this will run because currently the number is even. And then this one will not run because currently the number is even. So this is not going to be true. This condition here will not be true. So run this. And we get positive and the number is even. Oh, we forgot to change this to not even. There we go. So if we change this number here to 3, this will still run, this one will not run, and then now this one will run, okay? There we go, perfect. So this gives your program a more dynamic nature. Your program can run code differently depending on the values of your variables and the conditions met. Awesome, I just want to emphasize that. I really like it, as you can tell. So let's get even more complex. There's something called else if statements. So if we have, let's say we have a variable drank amount. So this represents how many drinks we've drank, if that's a word, I don't know. I don't think that's proper English, but you get the point. And now let's say if drank amount is less than 99, then we'll say print, please drink more. You have not drank enough. So that's kind of insane, right? You don't really want to have that philosophy. But in this case, in this insanity, if we drank less than 99 drinks, then we'll print out, please drink more. You have not drank enough. And if we run this, nothing prints out because this is false at the moment, right? So if we want to, we can add a second condition onto this one. If this one evaluates to false, then we can go ahead and evaluate another condition, and maybe that one will be true. So to that, we can do elif, which stands for else if. And we can do something like, let's say that we want to print out a message if they drank between 100 and 500 drinks, something like 100 less than or equal to drinks drank amount, and then less than 500. So print, you are about to become tipsy, slow down, partner. So in this case, we have two different conditions now, or what's called two different branches of your if statement. So the way that this one works is, if this one evaluates to true, then this one will be run, and this one will not be run. And then if this one evaluates to false, it'll go to the next branch and say, if this one is true, then run this. But if none of them are true ever, then nothing will happen. So the key here is that you essentially have two different if statements combined into one, but the point is that the second one here will only be evaluated, the condition will only be evaluated if the first one was false. And we can add as many as we want, adding more complexity to our program. So we can say if drinks drank amount is greater than or equal to 500, then we'll say print, you are drunk. You should not be drinking. Please stop. Bruh. So now we have three different branches. Again, this one will only be evaluated if the first two were false. If this one happens to be true, then this one will not be evaluated at all, and it can pretty much be ignored. Okie dokie, and if they're all false, then nothing will happen. So if we try running this now, we get, you are about to become tipsy, slow down, partner. I spelled down incorrectly. Hopefully you caught that. But as you can see here, this one was false, obviously, so this one got evaluated and it became true. So we printed out that, and then nothing happened for the last one. Awesome. So not only can we control how our program executes, we can even make it more complex by adding different branches to that if statement logic, which is awesome. So let's just do another one. I like to give you guys lots of examples here, and then I'll show you another cool thing we can do. So let's say we have a variable favorite color is equal to navy blue. And then we say if favorite color is equal to navy blue, then do print, you have a nice favorite color. And that's currently true, obviously, right? Because they're equal. So if we print this out, or run this rather, it'll print it out. Cool. But in a alternate universe, this could be a different value. So let's add different conditions to this, or different branches. Elif, or else if, favorite color is equal to blood red. Print, you good, bro? Okay, that's cool. And then now let's add something new. This is called an else branch. So we can do else, and this one doesn't have a condition, as you'll notice. It only has the colon, and then in between here you would usually put the condition, but it doesn't have one. And then inside of here you do print, or whatever code you want to run, and say you have poor taste. There you go. So let's run this and see what happens. It says you have a nice favorite color, just because this one still has the same value. Let's change it to poop. And now it says you have poor taste. So I'm sure you can assume how this one works, but the way that it works is this one will always run. You can think of it as always being true as long as the ones before it were false first, okay? So you can think of this as like the default branch of code that is run if all the other branches evaluate to false after being checked, okay? And again, same as this one will not ever be evaluated, or ever run rather, if the ones before it were true. So they all have to be false to get to this point, all right? So if we had something like blood red, and if we run this one will not be run because this one was true, so it won't even continue past that point. Awesome, right? So we have learned about 3 different types of keywords here in Python. We now have if, elif, and then else. So this is for if, else if, and then else for otherwise, just the default condition, or the default branch rather. So what I want you to do is take what you learned so far and, make some example programs for yourself. Just make as many cool things as you can to make sure that this solidifies within your brain before you watch the next episode. These programs that I'm showing you currently are very, very simple because printing out is, one of the few things that we know how to do at the moment, but you can put as much code inside of here as you want. Like I said before, as long as it's indented, that's how you signify that it's part of the block of code for this branch here, okay? So you can add as much code as you want and whatever code as you want, as long as it's formatted properly. So I'm going to give you a more complex example before we finish this episode. So we'll say if we are hungry and the food we want is in the list, we can eat it. So here's some sample data. So we have a list of foods, and we say, can we eat? That's false. Oops. And then we'll have food wanted, tacos, that's the food we want. Then we have am hungry is equal to true. So with this in mind, with these different variables here with different various values, I want you to construct a simple piece of code that has the logic of if you are hungry, meaning that this is true, and the food we want is in the list, such as tacos being in here, then we can go ahead and eat it. So we'll set this to true or false depending on if we can eat the food or not. So we'll move this to the bottom just so it logically makes more sense. So see if you can do that. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, just watch and see how I do it. So we want to simply construct a Boolean expression that first checks to see if they're hungry, and then checks to see if the food wanted is inside the foods list, okay? So we'll say if am hungry, and now we need a way to see if it's in the list. And a way you can do that is by doing foods dot, and that's a list by the way, so you can do dot count. And the way that this works, if you do control Q on this little function here, it says return number of occurrences of value. So you pass in the value, and if it's in the list, it'll tell you how many times it's in the list, okay? So pass in food wanted, and if that is greater than 0, then it's in the list, and therefore we can eat it. So now we'll have a colon, press enter, and we'll say can we eat is now equal to true. And then we'll print out something like yes, the food you want is in the list, and you can eat it. All right, so let's run this now and see if it works. And it says, yes, the food you want is in the list, and you can eat it. Perfect, because tacos is in the list, and we are also hungry. So if it changes to false, we are no longer hungry, and now it doesn't print out, as you can see. So we can go ahead and add an else. Otherwise, if this condition evaluates to false, then we can just go ahead and print out, you are either not hungry, or the food you want is not on the list. And there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Now you know how to do if statements to control the flow of your program. In the next episode, we're going to learn about another one. So stay tuned for that, and peace. Alright, so that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. In the description below, I'll leave a link to the code for this episode so you can check it out. You can bookmark it, come back to it later. If you forget any concepts or you just want to review the concepts I taught in this video, I'll mark everything up with comments so you can come back and read the code without having to rewatch the video, although your reviews are greatly appreciated. So yeah, I'll leave a link for that in the description below, so make sure to check it out. And another thing is I'll leave a link to our Discord server. It's a big community for programmers, so you can ask for help on your programming projects if you're stuck on something, or maybe you can get some new friends. If you don't have any friends, there's lots of people here. It's growing really fast. You can find lots of people who are passionate about the same things as you. For example, if you like Minecraft Spigot development, you can find lots of people who like that. If you like C++, if you like Java, if you like web development, it's a really, really big programming community. So feel free to join. There's a link for that in the description below. And the last thing I want to tell you is that if you want to support this channel, you can click the join button below this video and you can join this channel as a member for as low as 99 cents a month, and you can cancel at any time. You get some cool perks like early access to all of my new videos, a cool rank on my Discord server like you see right here on the side, YouTube members, and also you get to see yourself on the screen like you see right now. So if that sounds cool to you, feel free to join. If you don't want to, that's fine. If you can't, that's okay too. I really just appreciate you watching the video anyway. And thank you. Thanks a lot. And that's it. So if you like this video, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And peace.